Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 MyTeam career mode. This is round number 1 for our final ever season on this game. Season 7 of the MyTeam career mode for the Bahrain Grand Prix. The pre-season episode was uploaded yesterday, so be sure to go check that out for all the information, the driver transfers, the team changes, our own admin and our own team changes, and even the new calendar, which includes 6 sprint races. So check out that preseason episode to get all filled in. But here we are then, after a very painful end to Season 6. As it does in real life, we reset, everyone starts from 0, and we go again for another titanic season in Formula 1. And it's going to be a really, really interesting one, I think. We've got the reigning world champion, as painful as it is to say, Antonio Giovinazzi, still in Lotus Renault. You know, he's going to be massively on a high, you would think, from the momentum, the focus he's got following that championship win. You've got the likes of, massive team changes with Monster Mercedes, Bottas and Schumacher, the Aston Martin there with George Russell now leading the team, so that could be quite exciting. Russell's AI is so good in this game now, in our career mode save ours, that I think Aston Martin could actually be fighting again for some decent, positions again in the hands of him. You've got Red Bull all change with Drogovic back in the Red Bull seat, of course. A very different new look Red Bull from last season. Gone is Red Bull Porsche. Welcome back to Red Bull Honda in the white Japanese tribute livery, and they have obviously come from the ashes of AlphaTauri now in the game. You've got Vodafone, McLaren, Mercedes, still driven by Lando Norris and Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda, last race's race winner, won at Jeddah, the finale, so he's got to be very focused indeed. So I think the McLarens could be great in this season opener. And then you've got a very exciting, obviously, pairing of Verstappen and Hamilton in the Ford Performance. And then, well, these two, Leclerc and Gasly. Gasly in our team, of course. And there is the newly formed, bought by Lawrence Stroll, Porsche Formula 1 team with Leclerc and Lance Stroll. That is going to be really exciting. But you know what? As ever, Bahrain is a season opener on the F1 game, especially this year's game, F1 2021. It's basically going to be anyone's game because of the way the strategy plays out with the 1-stop versus 2-stop, which makes it kind of a very ideal season opener because it keeps us in the dark for the rest of the season, really, but it's still an exciting race, and you kind of see a few little glimpses of maybe what the pecking order is going to be like, with maxed out cars for near enough, I think, pretty much every team, I think, at this point. Even Ford, I think, have now got to a maxed out car at this stage. It's going to be all down to the drivers to make the difference, and that means it's going to be so close, but means that focus and momentum are so important. You get a bad weekend, it's going to be pretty bad then for the next couple of races unless you can bounce back. And if you have a great weekend, you can build on that as AI, obviously. For us, of course, it's about trying to put weekends together and try and, come back against anything that gets thrown at us. And obviously, we tried so hard last season, and even that wasn't enough by the end of it. But it is what it is, as we now go into Q1 then for the first part of qualifying here under the floodlights. And we're on a second flying lap on the same set of tyres, though, so we're not wasting tyres. But that first one was just so slow for us. Obviously, remember, changing engine supplier does affect the drivability. It changes how the power is delivered out of every corner. Even like the engine braking into corners as well is changed. So having to get relearn the Honda engine basically from all the way at the start of this career mode. Finally, we get a time on the board that I thought was decent, but it's only P15. I actually thought that was a flying lap, but it's P15. It'll get us through into the Q2, but look at this. Max Verstappen tops the session in the new Ford Performance team as it is now. We've got the Lotus Renaults right up there, the Red Bulls, McLaren, Ferrari losing a bit of pace, it would seem, as they're not looking too great, but at Q1, it's too early to tell, really. But Mercedes, they're both knocked out, along with the Sauber BMWs, and Hamilton was knocked out, so that's actually legitimately just Verstappen as AI doing an amazing job, because Hamilton is knocked out, and Verstappen is way up in P1. That is incredible. But it's so bloody tight now on this grid in this final season that, you know, one mistake could put you down 5 positions. Literally no joke, it would seem, here in this first round around the Bahrain Grand Prix. So it is game on, but Ford have entered Formula 1. They've taken over from that Haas team, and they have arrived in style with Max Verstappen. Verstappen's AI, maybe he got a boost of confidence. Maybe his focus went up into this new season. I don't know. I mean, he was nearly dragging that Haas into points-paying positions, and now, with a fully maxed out car underneath him, he's actually performing amazingly over the winter. The winter did him a wonder of a reset, and in Q2, we do make it through, thankfully, P7. Very competitive grid, though, and Pierre Gasly has not. It is all about getting the laps in when you need to, and Gasly did not get his lap in. The same for Sainz again. It's the same story, and also Lance Stroll in the other Porsche. Leclerc's through the top 10, but he's not. So it's a story of, you know, one of the cars getting through, not the other. There's only 2 teams on the grid that have got both their cars into the top 10 shootout, and that is Red Bull Honda and also Lotus Renault, 2 of the teams that were featuring quite heavily last season. So you can see that even though, obviously, over the winter, plenty of driver transfers, there is obviously still a bit of carryover from last season. But as we have seen in all the seasons so far on this game, that's, you know, that's just temporary. One round, we don't know. As we go on, the focuses, they'll fluctuate, and then we'll really see who's going to be fighting for this championship. But it's so early doors, it's just about soaking up this excitement of a new season. And so, yeah, we've got Norris out, Russell and Ilott looking better in the Aston Martins, high up there in Q2, but ultimately knocked out along with Sainz and our teammate Gasly. Remember, Gasly, he's maybe not the same amazing Gasly we've seen in games gone by. Last season, he had a pretty torrid time, so I think his focus is actually quite low, despite me trying to train it in pre-season. So he's out of qualifying. He maybe needs to get to grips with our car, specifically maybe after moving away from AlphaTauri. We'll see, but it's now time for the top 10 shootout. And thankfully, we've got 2 sets of tyres to go on the first run up into P6, 1/10 off provisional pole position right now, which is taken by Max Verstappen in the Ford Performance. Absolutely insane. We go for the second run, though. Thankfully, we have it due to obviously reusing the tyre in Q1. So we have this fresh set. It's going to gain us nearly about 2.5 tenths, maybe losing a bit of speed on the exit of the last corner. P8, it will be improved to P5, but it's going to be Leclerc in the end, as I think it was Leclerc, Tsunoda and Drogovic on laps with me. Verstappen did not have a second run to go with. So Charles Leclerc, returning to the Porsche brand, is on pole position. Tsunoda, last race's race winner, obviously, from the finale of Season 6, is on the front row, showing he is very focused and clearly has momentum from that race win. But my word, Max Verstappen doing an absolute madness. I don't know whether it's the car. I think it's more him because of where Hamilton is, really. I know Hamilton's AI has been bad this game, pretty much, but Verstappen's AI doing a madness on the second row alongside Drogovic in his new Red Bull. We're alongside. It just had to be. Obviously, we are alongside our championship rival from last season. That's going to be a little bit, well, it might get a bit tasty at the race start. Let's see. Let's go to the grid then for our first race of Season 7.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Yuki Tsunoda completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Drogovic, the owner driver, and Giovinazzi, Lundgaard, Ocon, Armstrong, and Daniel Ticktum. Norris, Russell, Callum Islet, and Sainz, Gasly, Stroll, and Guan Yu Zhou and Lewis Hamilton, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Aitken, and Nobuharu Matsushita. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
It's round one of this final season, and more so than ever, I have no flipping clue who's going to be quick here today, who's going to have the race pace, who's going to get the tyre wear, the strategy correct. It's going to be that 2-stop versus the 1. We've got a new manufacturer on the grid, so many exciting driver transfers, and so much intrigue and excitement for this final ever season on this game. Let's do it with a bang. Here we go to 5 red lights. Round 1, the Bahrain Grand Prix is underway. The lights are out. It's a good start for us. Drogovic real slow in the Red Bull. Verstappen covers off the inside line. Tsunoda dives down the inside for P1 of the race. Leclerc loses first place. Lundgaard dived us round the outside. We lost the position. Banging tyres with Max Verstappen. It was a very cautious turn 1 from myself, but we got swamped by Lundgaard on the outside. Very awkward to hold the line that I wanted to turn 1, but now we face fighting Verstappen in the new Ford car, and we're ahead of him into P5. Verstappen down to P6. Lundgaard is the Lotus Renault with the quick start. He's up into P4, maybe looking to prove something versus the reigning world champion teammate he has on the other side of the garage, who's down to P7 at the moment. But it's Yuki Tsunoda that leads the way. So what did I say? You know, won the last race that we had in this series. So that's going to make him a massive prospect at the start of this season, because his focus is probably very high. And so Leclerc lost pole position very easily, I might add, into turn 1 there. The McLaren got him even before the brake zone, I think. Drogovic, after a slow start, actually did well to dive down the inside and get back up into P3 after initially losing out to myself, and it seemed like the 2 Lotus Renaults. You've got Ocon in P9, one of the other protagonists in the championship last season. The Ferrari struggling for a bit of pace. I think it's more so that everyone else has got a bit more competitive. You can see Sainz battling the Aston Martin of Callum Islet. The Aston Martins have arrived and are a bit more of a threat now, it would seem, in this race so far. Here we are, though, back to our POV. Start of lap 2, looking to make the move on Lundgaard. We fake to the right, go to the left, and now we ease the car in. We jockey for position. It's going to be so close on the exit, but we're going to ultimately slam the door shut on Lundgaard and get up into P4, move around a little bit to try and break the toe, and now try and use his clean air to chase after the top 3 and get settled into this race, as Hamilton now is diving on the inside and looking to maybe overtake Ilott there, as he looks to maybe make up places. So, you know, Verstappen did so well in qualifying, but this Hamilton, he was way down the order in that same Ford car, so he's got a point to prove to show that the Ford car is actually competitive maybe this season. Now we see Dan Ticktum in his new Red Bull going side by side with his fellow compatriot Lando Norris, and he gets squeezed out, and the Red Bull is up into P10. It's so tight in the midfield now. It's not really even a midfield, really. It's just everyone fighting for every position, and that's why maybe reliability will be so key this season, and why we made the swap to go back to Honda, because this man Leclerc in the Porsche, who knows how they're going to go and if there's going to be engine issues this season for them, but he's going round the outside in a very quick looking car, and he's going to try and get up into P1 to retake the lead from the pole he got yesterday, and he's done it. Leclerc leads. Tsunoda may lose second place because Drogovic has now arrived. A big dive down the inside by the Brazilian, and he's going to have to now fight it on the exit, and Tsunoda just has enough to shove him off with the elbow out on the right hand side to maintain P2. We've set the fast lap of the Grand Prix in the clean air, and we've closed up to these two because they've been losing time to each other basically by squabbling so much, and with the clean air I had, you know, we're able to pull away, because you can see Lundgaard clearly on the minimap is struggling for outright pace, it would seem, because he's backing into Verstappen and kind of forming a bit of a train there as we pull away nearly 2 seconds now to the Lotus Renault, now looking to maybe try and sell a dummy to Drogovic, but he's too clever for that. He actually even brake checks us a little bit mid-corner, so Drogovic, you know, his second season ever in Formula 1, and he's wised up to these moves and is maybe going to be a harder man to overtake, but we've got DRS here. We're using all the air DRS we can into turn 1. He locks up. It's a bit of a mistake under pressure. We're side by side. I make a mistake, though. The rear end snapped out, and so I made one as well. So you can see both of us pushing right to the edge of grip and the talent we've got to try and make this move, or defend the move, rather, in his case. But we go sailing around the outside there. The second bite of the cherry with DRS helped us out, and we are indeed up into third place. But for how much longer? Because it's a lock-up for us on the left front, and we're all on the curb, and the acceleration off the curb is so horrendous. And so the Red Bull is back through. He's going to sail past on the left-hand side. We're going to brake early, cut in, go for this switchback. Can we do this? The Red Bull is a little bit iffy on the rear end there. We're now side by side up the hill. This is going to be mega if we can do it. Round the outside still, and still, and still, and now plant the power into the last corner. But initially on the acceleration, it seems like Red Bull is picking up the traction a lot better. We brake early to make sure we get DRS, but we go on the outside in the final corner. Oh, so close on the right-hand side there to making contact, but ultimately we make the move and get DRS, and we leave Drogovic out to dry, because there goes Christian Lundgaard and Max Verstappen on the inside. The Ford is looking to make a double pass. Verstappen on the inside of Lundgaard, and he's done it. He's made a double overtake in his new Ford Performance Motorsport car, and he's up into P4. What a day so far for Ford. There's still a long day to go, but you know, it's looking very good. Verstappen's holding his own. It's not just a fluke in qualifying. It would seem he's got genuine race pace, as he's now pulling away a bit from Lundgaard, who is really struggling, it would seem, because now he's backing Drogovic into Giovinazzi. But that's so annoying for Drogovic then. He had some good pace, but now he's kind of been flustered a bit, and now has got himself into a Lotus Renault sandwich. Then you've got Marcus Armstrong in the Williams there doing his own thing. Dan Ticktum, Esteban Ocon P10, as he's been overtaken by the Red Bull. So Ticktum getting through in this race and doing better in the race than he did in qualifying. And well, Hamilton still trying to get past Callum Ilott there, stuck in a bit of a DRS drain with our teammate Pierre Gasly. We haven't seen too much of Gasly yet, you know, so far. A bit underwhelming from Pierre, but I'm sure he'll come through. He's 100 rated. He's just got to get used to this car, maybe build a little bit of confidence and focus, and I'm sure the very rapid Pierre Gasly that we know, you know, fought us for a championship, remember, almost in, what was it, season 3, he will return, I think. But we've now come in on lap 6, the earliest pit stop out of everyone, but we know from the history at the Bahrain Grand Prix, need to come in early to try and get that undercut. It's so powerful around here, and the tyre also at the end of stints is deadly. My front tyres were feeling very secondhand. I mean, they look a little bit secondhand also if you look closer at the detailing. Onto a set of medium tyres. It'll be 2 sets of mediums to the end of this race, but we are the first man to come into the pits. Well, I think Schumacher technically has come into the pits, but we're the first man in the top 10 to pull the trigger. Let's see where we're going to end up. Leclerc's now come in, and he's ahead of us still, but where is Tsunoda? He was in P2 on the road, but Tsunoda now is behind us. The tyre wear was too much for the McLaren, and so effectively on the road in our race with the top 10, we are now in second place. They're ahead of Tsunoda. Lundgaard is ahead of Verstappen again, as the Ford guys, I think, maybe went a little bit late on the pit stop, but Verstappen looking to re-overtake on the outside. It's a great dive on the long way round for the Dutchman, and he's re-overtaken him there. So he might have heard me in the commentary box, kind of slandering his team a little bit there, but he's made up for it. He's made up for the slow pit stop or whatever, the slow in-lap, and he's re-overtaken Lundgaard. He's on the soft compound, though. Interesting, as well as Tsunoda, I believe. So those two going for an aggressive 2-stop. So let's see how it works out for them. Myself and Leclerc are on mediums, as are these guys who now lead the race. Norris and Russell lead the way. Remember, they start on this tyre. They're doing the 1-stop onto hard tyres, so they're going as long as they can. But this is a very interesting battle. Russell and Norris in 2 different cars. There were 2 very strong teammates in McLaren in season 5, remember, but now it's Russell in the reinvigorated, it would seem, Aston Martin, and Norris in the McLaren he's been in since the start of the series. Russell goes for the move with DRS. The 2 former teammates side by side, banging tyres, making a bit of contact there as it gets a bit frosty, but Norris maintains the lead. lead. Russell second, but that's going to be I think a titanic scrap, actually, if it continues to go and go. Meanwhile, Norris's teammate, Tsunoda, is now gaining on us. He's got the traction. Remember, he's on the soft compound. We squeeze him right to the right-hand side to try and tighten up his racing line. Then we take the racing line ourselves, and we come through with a much better racing line, but he's just got the grip because that soft tyre is going to give him that traction immediately. But we're doing our all to try and stay ahead of him, because if we can, we're effectively ruining his race and annoying him to hell. But it's going to be hard because even Verstappen is closing up maybe on the soft compound behind him. Meanwhile, back to the race lead, and these two just keep on going at it. I think literally for the last 4 laps they've been going at it. We've only just seen these two lap 11, and they're still doing this tango, and it's still going to be the McLaren ahead. But now the second bite of the cherry as Russell goes for the outside move. Lando defensive on the inside, but George the long way round as Verstappen did to Lundgaard. Russell does to Lando Norris, and it's going to be the Aston Martin in the lead, maybe? No, they're still side by side. Lando is not giving up this fight, and he's back down the inside, down the hill, the hairpin. This is absolutely exceptional. The two Brits have been side by side for near on 2/3 of the lap now. The Aston Martin tries to give him the squeeze, but the McLaren has pushed him away, elbows out, back up into P1. But what a titanic fight for P1 and 2. And then behind, it's an all-Brit 3, because Lewis Hamilton now finds himself in 3rd place in the Ford Performance. You've got Lance Stroll in the other Porsche having a very quiet race versus Leclerc, and Gasly as well having a quiet one versus myself. But remember, on that one stop, it's so powerful as we get past this slow BMW Sauber of Jack Aiken. That one stop so powerful around Bahrain. So, Gasly and Stroll could turn it around. As we're now going to cut on to this same lap on lap 12, a little bit earlier technically, because we're watching the race lead again, and it's going to be Russell for the 3rd time, or probably about 6th time. We've not seen many of these attempts in the start of the race, but Russell going for the move, and he's finally maybe done it. This time round, actually got the job done before this second DRS zone, but that allows the McLaren to come back. Russell has to go defensive, and the McLaren now is trying the long way around, but it looks like the McLaren is just about the superior car as he's able to retake the lead. But that's what I meant at the start of the race. In the hands of Russell, that Aston Martin could actually fight for some positions now with an actual good AI driver, and probably one of the quickest AI drivers we've had in this career mode save. As now we watch Christian Lundgaard. Oh no, he's going slow, and there's now some smoke, and the Lotus Renault team have to endure a DNF early on in the season opener. Like I said, every point's going to matter here in the Constructors, in the Drivers' Championship. Lundgaard was doing better than Giovinazzi this race, so that's a huge shame. But that's just the pain you may feel in the season opener. I know it oh too well. We had it twice in this series on the game. Lap 14 upcoming. Everyone coming into the pits, so this is going to be the fight for P1 on the road. Leclerc's going to squeeze us right to the wall, but we're going to keep our foot in. We're going to jockey for position as we wobble around trying to give each other room, but at the same time squeezing each other to give them as little room as possible. And we're going to just about get it done on the outside of turn 2 up into P1 right now. Leclerc defensive, because there goes Yuki Tsunoda. It's a huge lock-up from Leclerc. The McLaren on the inside, the two nearly made contact. Leclerc, massive flat spot maybe on the front left as he got flustered by Yuki arriving so quickly on the soft compound. It's now those two side by side. Tsunoda not giving up because he's on the softs. He needs to get past Leclerc. He needs to get past us, really, because myself and Leclerc are destroying his and Verstappen's race plan to be faster at this stage of the race. The McLaren, I gotta say, this season, it looks like the old McLaren we saw in Season 5, Very punchy car, very focused drivers. This is a bit more like it from them, and Tsunoda's up into P2. Verstappen, look at him lurking in the Ford in P4. He's on the softs. He may actually go and overtake Leclerc, which would be quite a sight there. Ford versus Porsche. I'm sure at some point, maybe this season, I hope we get to see a Ford versus Ferrari in one of these races. It probably is going to have to be Hamilton, looking at where he is in comparison to Ferrari, because Verstappen's doing an exceptional job way up the order. Meanwhile, Russell and Norris just keep on fighting there. They're squabbling for P11 at the moment, and Ilott getting a very, very close shave there as Russell pulls out to overtake Norris on the outside, but Callum Ilott nearly made it 3 wide there. The two are now on the hard tyres. You've got Ilott still on the soft, so I don't know what Ilott's really doing doing in this race, but those two are still going at it. It's a horrendous camera angle in the hairpin to watch what happened there, but I think Norris got ahead of Russell, and then behind you've got, Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou, Hamilton, Gasly, Bottas, all these guys we are going to have to overtake because they're all on hards. They're all going to be ahead of us because this is the fight here at the top, but we've all got to make one more pit stop because these mediums and softs won't go to the end. So all those guys looking down that order in the bottom half of the table of the standings right now in this race, those are the guys we're going to have to overtake. So we need to watch out for that and hope that they fight with each other like Norris and Russell are. But at the moment, on towards a new lap 16, we've got no DRS. We're a sitting duck, and the McLaren is going to try and breeze past us on the inside. We squeeze him, go back to the racing line. We've misjudged the corner though. We've locked up, and with the tyre wear kicking in on the mediums, we've gone a bit wide. I don't know how Tsunoda's doing it. Even Verstappen's looking pretty handy on those softs, even though they've been on them for a while. And there goes Verstappen. Speaking of him, as he goes trying to make a move on Leclerc. Leclerc himself was looking to try and eye up a move on me, trying to catch me napping, but Verstappen instead has caught him napping, and the Ford is up into P3. What a move by Verstappen. I am clearly struggling, you can see though, locking up into the hairpin. I don't know, it might be the Honda engine, I do remember our tyre wear being a lot worse back in the day on the first few seasons when we had the Honda engine, maybe with the drivability on the rear end, the traction pickup maybe is causing a bit more tyre wear. And this is a replay then, and that is a bit of contact between Russell and Norris, and that's a replay to show why. Well, at the moment, basically, as we are fighting with Tsunoda, I actually noticed that Russell has made a second pit stop off the hard. So what a shame for the Brit in his new team, because that's obviously simulation damage coming into play there. He's still having a go at Norris. We can see now he's limping on the front end with that contact he made at turn 1. So Russell has indeed made a second stop, and that is kind of him out of the running maybe for the race win. It's now going to be all about Norris, and maybe I don't know what Eilort's actually doing, so I don't know who's actually going to be fighting Lando at the front in terms of that one-stop strategy. But for us right now, we're looking to fight Tsunoda. He is now struggling a little bit on the rear because his rear end was wobbling a bit up the hill, but you can see for sure for us, we are also in issues. Look at the bottom right, orange on the tyre indicator. But surely the McLaren has more tyre wear on the soft tyres as we go for a move on the outside, trying to get to the apex. Tsunoda parks it. Is he going to come in, I wonder, because that was quite slow. Maybe his tyres have gone off the cliff this second. Yes, they have. He's in. Verstappen's in. We continue on, though, because our pit stop window is now. So we're going to take this extra lap, even though I am feeling the tyre wear. It's going to be the same amount of tyre wear on the next set of mediums, so I need to make sure we give ourselves even one less lap on that medium. Leclerc's going to do even more. He's going to do 2 less laps on that second set of medium tyres, but we cannot continue any longer because my fronts were just really dead. I mean, you can see it maybe with the the tyre, even on the rear there, you can see a little bit of the graphic of like the wear and the kind of blistering on the rear end. So it's a much needed pit stop right now. Leclerc is going to try and stretch that. Where is Tsunoda? Where is Verstappen? As we come out there side by side, Verstappen going for a move on Tsunoda. Look at that. What a sight to behold out the pit lane. Verstappen and Tsunoda side by side. We join the party. So you can see there, to go one more lap on very worn tyres that I was not feeling great on, to be just this far behind them is not too bad, actually. I knew they were going to jump us, but that's not too bad. But you've got Giovinazzi now on my rear end there. Is it going to be the two former championship rivals from last season having a scrap here? Giovinazzi looking quite punchy, actually. There, he's close right up to our rear end. But we now need to look to kind of get our head down, get in the groove of these second set of mediums, and look to overtake Verstappen. But this is a fight, that I don't think anyone predicted. Me having to fight Verstappen in what was the Haas last season, but is now the Ford performance car. I'm having to legitimately fight Verstappen for a position here, and he's going to give me a hard time, maybe. What's the straight line speed saying with DRS? He's got DRS on the McLaren ahead, so it's going to be quite tricky. Do we go for the dive? We're gaining. We're going to go for it. We're going to send one on the inside of Verstappen. We lock up, though. We narrowly brush tyres, and Verstappen does a great job of defending, and it seems like Verstappen wants to fight this like an absolute animal, to put it in the words of his engineer in real life. Can we go on the outside? Verstappen with a big lock up, and we're going for the apex, but we have to take avoiding action, because otherwise we would have made contact with the Dutchman. If I carried on my steering angle there into that corner, that would have been donezo. The front right sheared off. This time, though, lap 21, Verstappen has no DRS. He's more of a sitting duck now. The fighting with him actually helped us out there because it meant he kind of got away out of DRS from Tsunoda, who has now just made a move on Bottas. We actually did a very similar move into turn 1. We're ahead of the Dutchman, and now can we get Bottas in the monster Mercedes? He's very slow on the hards. The Mercedes car has just gone backwards this season, it would seem. Can we make the move in the S section, down the hill into P7? And now we want to try and chase after Tsunoda as Verstappen makes a very eager move to get Bottas, but Bottas will fight that. Verstappen and Bottas, two former teammates in Mercedes last season, remember, at the start of it at least, before Verstappen was very cruelly kicked out of the Silver Arrows for Mick Schumacher. But Verstappen's now got his last laugh, and he's overtaken Bottas into P8. But and Giovinazzi as well. Wow, okay. Bottas is really struggling as Gio tries to make a very audacious move, and he's going to maybe finish it right round the outside. This is going to be exceptional from the reigning world champion, and he does it. Really great move. Bottas will continue to fight him, though, and maybe Leclerc gets involved as well in the Porsche, and also the Williams. Maybe Marcus Armstrong. Armstrong is down the inside of Leclerc. Those two are side by side now. It's 2 by 2. This is crazy. Look at it. 5 cars separated by 2 tenths because Drogovic is there as well. This is insane. And now Drogovic down here. It's 4 wide into turn 1. Drogovic trying to get up into P9. It's going to be in the end Marcus Armstrong, though, the Williams Jaguar, that gets through out of all of that. And he's the biggest winner. Drogovic now defending against Bottas. And Giovinazzi ultimately, after trying to overtake Bottas, still trying, but he's been overtaken by 2 cars. And Leclerc, he's gone down behind Dan Ticktum. So it's crazy. They're all so close together. Oh, no! Oh, it's a massive blunder and mistake from Marcus Armstrong. Oh no, that's a big AI mistake. He's span it, I think, on the curb, half span it, and he's lost all the positions he just gained. Oh my word, what action we are being treated today. Round 1 only, and everything's kicking off. There's been so much wonderful racing not this afternoon, tonight. There's been some amazing racing tonight. And we've still got overtakes to make, myself and Tsunoda especially, Verstappen as well. Verstappen's right behind me, you know, so he's kept up with us. And oh, there's a crash between Ocon and, oh no, Callum Eilert is out of this race. And oh god, there's a titanic crash between the 2 Aston Martins. George Russell, blindsided by his teammate, parked on the apex with no tyre on his car after a collision with Esteban Ocon. And after such a promising first half of the race, it's an absolute calamity for Aston Martin. Both drivers are out of this race. The safety car is out to give us a sprint race at the end of 5 laps. And we are now behind Pierre Gasly. For the first time we've seen Gasly in this race. And we're going to go toe-to-toe with our teammate for the first time this season. And on the restart, it's going to be Lando in the lead. But it's all to play for now because myself, Tsunoda and Verstappen, we've closed up. You know, the safety car's bunched us all up now. And so it's a huge chance for myself, Tsunoda or Verstappen, Drogovic, even all the guys on the 2-stop to maybe go for the top positions now because we're on fresher tyres. Restart, though, hard to judge, and Gasly catches us napping. I mean, everyone does because Lando was the one backing us up as the leader, and so we're all kind of in single file here. I've been caught napping a little bit. Thankfully, Verstappen also didn't get a great getaway, and so we're all into turn 1 as it stands. Norris from Guan Yu Zhou in the Williams Jaguar high up there. Lance Stroll in 3rd place. Hamilton still P4. There's some great opportunities for all those drivers to maintain position if they can defend against a very quick Yuki Tsunoda on the mediums. You've got myself trying to overtake Gasly here, Verstappen and Drogovic. You know, there's positions to be had if people can defend and attack equally, but we're going for an attack on Pierre Gasly, but our tyres are already feeling it for sure. I can categorically tell you right now, I think this car is a lot harder on its tyres, and that might end up being a massive factor in all our strategies this race. race, but look at Gasly coming back at us. Of course, it was never going to be an easy overtake on our teammate. Pierre Gasly comes back at us for the first time. We're fighting his teammate. He's on the hard compound, but look how well he's doing. We bang the tyres, and on the exit, he gives us a real good run for the money. We are going to get ahead of him, though, because we've got the better tyre. Even with the tyre where I've got, that's still better than his hard compound. That's going to take a while to warm up, as we now see Verstappen, and is that Giovinazzi? Yeah, they're fighting, and Giovinazzi's got Verstappen, the Lotus Renault, up into P9. Sainz just made a move on Bottas, I think that is, to get the Ferrari into P11. Big lock-up, though, from that Red Bull of, I think, Dan Ticktum. Meanwhile, Tsunoda is now pressurising Lewis Hamilton there into that left-hander, so Hamilton hanging on for dear life. You know how bad Hamilton's AI has been in this career series, so it'd be quite a miracle for him to keep a top 4, let alone even some good points here in that Ford of his. But at the moment, he's way ahead of Verstappen, the man who was clear in qualifying just because of the one stop, how powerful it is. But for Gasly, it's a kind of opposite, because he's really struggling on those hards, and he's been overtaken by Drogovic now. He's down to P8, and now we'll have Giovinazzi and Verstappen bearing down on him, and the Red Bull has now got some clean air to chase after myself, who we're trying to close up to Tsunoda, and Hamilton's doing us a favour, because he's kind of been holding up Tsunoda. Meanwhile, we watch on there, that's Guan Yu Zhou keeping Lando Norris honest there, as well as Lance Stroll in the Porsche. Norris leading the way for a while now, but he makes a mistake. Oh, he cracks under pressure, and there's contact between him and the Williams, and that might be Lance Stroll through into P2. Yes, it is. Guan Yu Zhou now leads the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's under pressure. Norris making a mistake. He now slides around with the damage he's got on the front wing. It's the Chinese driver in the Williams Jaguar that now leads this race with 2 laps to go, and Lance Stroll is in P2 in the Porsche. Norris is so slow, he's holding up all of us. We're trying to get around the outside, but look at my tyres. They are shot, man. This car is horrendous on the tyre wear. What's happened to it? As we now see Tsunoda overtake his teammate and get ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton's lost the position as Norris comes in, though. We're up into P5, but look at Hamilton. Hamilton going for the overtake to get back into the podium positions, and we've got it all crossed up. We've misjudged the brake zone. We're wide, we're off circuit, and our tyres are absolutely dead. It's a massive costly error, and we're down to P8 now behind Giovinazzi and our teammate Gasly. A lot of cars behind me trying to capitalise on my kind of misfortune there, but we re-overtake Giovinazzi at least to get back up into P7. You've got Drogovic now fighting Tsunoda, and the Red Bull is going to make an absolute dive bomb and a half. The Brazilian trying to get up into P4. Tsunoda has been pushed down to P4 by Lewis Hamilton, making an exquisite overtake to get back into a podium position. But that was the problem. I was too fixated on watching Hamilton and Tsunoda that I wasn't judging. I wasn't looking at where we were on circuit, and I'd gone past my brake zone for how bad my tyres were. Double lockup. I actually did quite well to avoid Tsunoda, because for a split second I thought, okay, this is about to be a monumental crash into the rear end of the Japanese driver. But no, we kept out of harm's way, but we ultimately went wide and lost the positions there, unfortunately. There's one last lap to go, though, and it's not over for this podium fight for third place. Hamilton defensive on the inside, Tsunoda on the outside with DRS, but Hamilton holds strong. It's going to be side by side, but Lewis has the better racing line. Tsunoda's tightened up, and he does get pushed back down to P4, and actually may even get attacked by Drogovic. Hamilton defensive again, but he's going to be able to hold that through surely for the remainder of the lap as we move on to the final sector. It's going to be Guan Yu Zhou with the race win for Williams Jaguar out of all the teams. Our tyres are absolutely dead. I tried to catch up to Gasly, but that is no way we're going to do it. But Guan Yu Zhou wins the race from Stroll to Lewis bloody Hamilton for the first time in absolutely ages. Hamilton is back on the podium for Ford performance. What a last couple of laps there. So much drama. We need to sort this tyre out. Oh my god.
Brilliant stuff from Williams today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you hit the fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Oh, here they are now. I always love seeing the independent teams do well. Williams have a long and storied history with F1, and I'm delighted to see them on the top step of the podium.
I don't think anyone predicted the Chinese driver winning this race in the Williams Jaguar. I know he has been a race winner himself. He has won races for Williams Jaguar in the past, especially, what was it, season 5, where Williams Jaguar really were in their own element. They had a very slumped season last season. Are they back now to fighting for top positions again? Because Guan Yu Zhou did P17 to first. To be fair, though, that's how big the one-stop is, because Stroll and Hamilton, all of them, look at the gains they made from where they started on the grid. Absolutely unreal race for those three in the podiums. Tsunoda P4, unlucky, you know. I think if the safety car wasn't there, I reckon Tsunoda would have had a very good chance to actually win this race. But it's first blood to Guan Yu Zhou. And it's first blood to Pierre Gasly. He was slower than us all race, but we ultimately made a big blunder, a big error, and he finished ahead of us. So already Gasly's got an advantage, maybe more of a psychological advantage in terms of, you know, I've made a massive error there, and he's kept it steady, and actually, you know, it's paid dividends for him. But early doors then in this championship, Williams are top, ahead of Porsche and Ford. Absolutely biblical scenes, really, because you've got Ferrari, Mercedes down the order, even Red Bull in the kind of, you know, middle way. So, you know, the normal hierarchy of Formula 1 has been pushed aside in this first race. Exquisite stuff. Guys, what an exciting first round of Season 7. If you guys did enjoy it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If every race like that, I may have a heart attack by the end of this season, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very enjoyable. If you're new around here, get subscribed. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.